What's going on, Arizona sports fan family? Today we heard from the owner of the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Bidwell. And boy, he had a lot to say today pertaining to the departure of Kliff Kingsbury. Let's go ahead and dive right into the top 7 things you need to know. Let's dive right into it, everybody. Roll that intro. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Definitely do me one huge favor, smack the like button on this video and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. We're on the road to 11K and I can't do it without you guys, so definitely subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. And let's dive right into this here, right? Let's talk about the big 7 takeaways that I took away from Michael Bidwill's press conference. Now, if you guys don't know and you're living under a rock, Kliff Kingsbury got fired today, right? And, there was also reports came out that Keim was going to step down in the GM role, but things have kind of, taken a complete turn here for, at least per Michael Bidwell, and the Arizona Cardinals moving forward. So let's dive right into the top 7 things you need to know. And obviously, it's a very, very good press conference, so if you want to definitely go and take a look at it, I recommend it. But this is kind of what I guess I took away out of it, right? Or let's dive right into the top 7 things you need to know about this press conference from Michael Bidwell. The number one thing is that Keim is gone, right? Now, there was reports out there that there was going to be a possibility that Keim might hang around the organization in another position, not the GM role, but per Michael Bidwell, there was confirmation that he did provide his resignation and is no longer with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, for me, I had a little worrisome about if he was to stay in the Cardinals organization, his influence and what would happen, but I guess at this very moment, we don't really have to worry about Keim and, him staying with the Cardinals organization because he's gone. He's no longer a part of the Arizona Cardinals organization and he wants to focus on his health. And he made sure that everybody was, everybody remembered in terms of why he stepped away. It was due to health related issues per Michael Bidwell. Another thing, number 2 that I want to talk about is basically Kliff Kingsbury. He was basically gloating and speaking very, very high of Kliff Kingsbury, his work ethic and what he's put into this Cardinals organization. And it's very unfortunate per Michael Bidwell that Kliff Kingsbury that it didn't work for him, essentially. He said he'd never seen anybody work as hard as Kliff Kingsbury. He was the first man in, the last man out, that type of thing. His work ethic was absolutely amazing, and it's unfortunate that this had to happen to Kliff Kingsbury because obviously they built a relationship with each other, being that they were working with each other for 4 years. So he definitely had definitely a care for Kliff Kingsbury and obviously wishes him the best. And if he can land back on his feet in an NFL role, maybe not a head coaching job, but maybe a offensive coordinator job, that probably be a little bit more best suited for Kliff Kingsbury. But that's pretty much what he talked about, for Kliff Kingsbury. Let's go to my top 3 here, things to know. Another thing is that he wanted to wait for the entirety of the 17 weeks, season, or I guess 18-week season, right, including the bye week. He didn't want to make any rash decisions, is what he was saying. Now, I think we all kind of knew that, deep down, even myself, even though I wanted Kliff gone, right, 3 or 4 weeks ago, he wanted to make sure that he was looking at the season as a whole, which I could respect, right? I mean, now that we're sitting at Black Monday, it doesn't seem too big of a deal because it looked like it was trending in the direction that Kliff Kingsbury was going to be released or fired. So he wanted to look at that. And the sample size that we've seen is the fact that I don't know if there was anything that Kliff Kingsbury could have done to save his job, truly, right? We had 6 games left in this stretch, and maybe if Kliff won 3 games, there would have been a possibility that he would retain his job, but just not seeing any progress, I think that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for Kliff Kingsbury, and it kind of seemed like the locker room was pretty much lost for Kliff Kingsbury, and I think that's kind of what Michael Bidwell was alluding to. Now, obviously, I'm putting my little 2 cents into it. He didn't straight out say that, but that's kind of how I'm feeling, all right? He wanted to look at the 17 stretch of games, and if he didn't see any changes, he was going to make a move, and this was the move that he ended up making. Let's go to my point number 4. They have currently interviewed Quentin Harris, and they've interviewed Adrian Wilson for the GM role to take over Keim. Now, right now, that's not in place pertaining to they have the role, right? All he said was they interviewed. Now, he does mention the fact that like the head coaching job, there might be an internal candidate that he wants to interview as well, but he's not going to leave any stones unturned, he said. He's going to look externally, he's going to look internally. Now, throughout the weeks leading up to the end of the season, he stated that he was already kind of, talking amongst other people within the NFL, trying to get some references, trying to get some, people to kind of look into. So it looked like there was a kind of something in the making more than anything. So I'm curious, right? I'm curious to figure out how long Michael Bidwill knew this, but damn, he played this really, really close to the vest, and I guess kudos for him for doing that. So right now, that's what he said for that. He also mentioned the fact that he wants to hire a GM first. So there it is. We might be getting a GM here pretty soon, maybe somewhere along the lines of by the end of this month, if not maybe in the beginning of February. So we're going to be looking for a GM to take over the role of Steve Keim and what he's been doing for obviously the past years for the Arizona Cardinals. So he's looking for a GM first, and once they hire that GM, they're going to be talking amongst each other and trying to coordinate to who's going to be the next head coach for the Arizona Cardinals moving forward. Another thing I want to mention here is that he mentioned that the roster that we have is a lot better than a lot of people think. And I agree with that, right? I think that the Arizona Cardinals, with the roster that we have, we shouldn't be a 4-win team. We truly, really shouldn't. We have a lot of talent on this roster, and we need to get somebody in here that's going to be able to use that talent to the best of their abilities. Now, yes, did we get hit by the injury bug? Yeah, absolutely, right? But like, we're not the only team that the injury bug has hit, right? We see over there the San Francisco 49ers are having success with a third-string quarterback, and I think Michael Bidwill's taking a look at that and saying, well, why are they having success with one of the biggest focal points in the offense being down not once but twice, and now they're relying on their third string quarterback? It really kind of tells that, hey, the coach is a really, really big deal, and obviously that's something that we knew as fans, but it needed for him to see that, to kind of see what has all transpired at this very moment. So I agree with that, right? I think the roster is great. He also did mention the fact that Kyler Murray has been not involved, but he has already told Kyler Murray about the move, and they're in communications back and forth. He didn't really say anything pertaining to what Kyler Murray said, and obviously that conversation's amongst them two, but the goal is going to be, how do we get Kyler Murray in a MVP type of level moving forward, which I think is the best direction, at least as of right now, because of where we find ourselves, right? Kyler Murray's under contract. There's nothing much we can do about that other than trading or releasing him, and at this very moment, I don't see it happening. So that's going to be the vision moving forward into the 2023 season, which I'm completely backing. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this whole situation, guys. Is there anything else that you took away that I didn't mention in this video? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cards.